Good morning, grade 10s. Mr. Broadbent here again, looking at essay writing today. Just a quick little reminder for coming up to the literacy test. Before we start talking about essays, though, I think a joke or two is in order. I saw this sign down by the pond the other day: frog parking only, all others will be towed. I know what you're thinking. What does that have to do with the literacy test? I know, my pun was completely irrelevant. I promise I didn't do it on purpose. Alright, enough puns. This is pandemonium. We better get to essay writing. So, the learning goals for today. We're going to review some strategies for generating ideas. These will be useful for the essay, but also for any of the other written pieces on the literacy test. And we're also going to review the structure for the essay on the literacy test. As one of the things is your English teacher or your classroom teachers will likely have much higher expectations than the literacy test will for the essay. So, here's an example of a question, an essay question from literacy test in years past. Is participation in extracurricular activities an important part of secondary school life? So the first thing I'd really want to do is find keywords in the question. I see participation in extracurricular activities. I know extracurricular activities are things that are outside of the curriculum, outside of classes. So that'd be like clubs and teams and sports and things like that. So are they an important part of secondary school life? So they are important in secondary school and high school. So the second strategy I'd want to really use, activate my background knowledge. What do I know about that already? So I'd think about my own experiences of friends or family, things that going on in your school or your community, things you've read about, things you've seen in movies, television, internet, anything that you know, because think about it and get as much that you know about it already. For instance, extracurricular activities, I'm thinking of all the different extracurriculars that we have at our school. From all these different sports teams and clubs and artistic activities, all sorts of things at school. I know, thinking my experiences, I coach the debate team. We're always looking for new recruits after school Mondays, room 109. But so that's I'm making a personal connection to the question, just because that's what I know about. And the old adage, write about what you know. So activate that background knowledge when you get into these sorts of questions. Another good strategy for generating ideas is to use a T-chart. So make a T-chart with yes on one side, no on the other side, and then start listing ideas. For instance, I came up with more ideas why yes, people should, or extracurriculars are an important part of high school life, not really reasons why no. On the literacy test, you can argue either side to the question. Okay, there's lots of good stuff for both sides. They're not interested in your opinion if it's right or wrong, because there's no right or wrong opinion. What they're interested in is, can you support it with sufficient specific details that are thoughtfully chosen? So can you really build on that? So you can make a T-chart coming up with ideas. If you're not sure which side of the question you fall on, the side with the most ideas is probably the side you want to think about. You can also use PERMs to come up with ideas. Remember, PERM stands for political, educational, environmental, economic, etc. It stands for all these different things. If you can memorize this going into the test, it'll help you sort of remember things. I find especially the E ones are particularly useful for the questions they ask on the literacy test. They ask a lot of questions that have some sort of educational dimension, entertainment, maybe economic, like having to do with money or a job. And the social one, making friends, connections with other people. Those are probably the two most important ones, the E and the S. But it's a good thing that to use in a number of scenarios when you're writing. So I'm going to go back to my T-chart, and what I've noticed is I've started grouping things. I group them here by color. You won't be able to do that on the test unless you have a few different highlighters. You can group them by number. But what I did is I noticed that I've got some points that have to do with social reasons why part-time jobs are good, sort of educational reasons, something about like building character, like responsibility, teamwork, sportsmanship. I've got one point about building physical fitness. So I've got 4 things there. I only need 3 for an essay. I want a paragraph on each one of these. So I'm not going to do one on physical fitness. You could, I mean, but I've got more ideas for these 3 points. So that's what I would do. And I see how I've only got 2 for educational. I have a feeling right now that's probably my weakest one, so I'm tucking that in the middle. I want to start strong and end strong. I want to sort of tuck my weak point in the middle. So what I'd want to do next is I want to take those ideas that I had organized into my 3 groups, and you can just sort of write them out in a rough idea if you have time. If not, I mean, you can do it in your head. I really recommend that you do this though, because what you can do is instead of just saying social reasons, social is not as a topic, it's not really an idea. So I just wrote that out as a complete thought. So I said instead of social reasons, I said extracurriculars are a great way to meet people. Teams and clubs are a great way to learn things you wouldn't be able to otherwise. And teams and clubs help to build character. So those would be my 3 paragraphs if I was going to write. I could come up with more ideas here, expand on those ideas, but what I would do probably right now is start writing. So when I'd start writing, anytime I would take one of these points that I would make, like I'm going to use an example for a better way to make friends, I would then follow either the ape structure for a question, or P we've used before, point, expand with evidence or examples, and explain. Either one, they're both good for making sure that you have lots to say and that you support your points, because that's what they really want. They want you to have ideas, and they want them supported with specific details. So I might say, joining a team or club is a better way to make friends. Then the next sentence I would say, there are clubs for all kinds of unique interests, like debate. I'm using my background knowledge here. And then I'm going to explain that. I can't just say, oh, it's a great way to make friends because there's lots of different kinds of clubs. I'd have to say, you might be interested in debating, but none of your friends are. By joining a debate club, you would meet people who share that interest. And then I might go on to say, that's why teams and clubs are an important part of high school life. Before you get into the body of the essay, you want to start with the introduction, of course. The introduction, your English teacher is probably going to have a method for teaching introductions for essays. The literacy test, the introduction is the expectations are lowered. Okay, what you need to make sure you do: briefly introduce the topic, state clearly your opinion, your thesis, one side or the other, and state your 3 reasons in order. So this is an example from the actual literacy test. This is a perfect essay on the literacy test. They clearly state their opinion at the beginning, that they have great advantages. That's why they're significant. I don't really like the word significant there, but that's what they chose to use, and it's good enough for perfect on the literacy test. Also, they've had some other information about the topic. Down here they say it's important that a high school student joins an extracurricular activity. 2, paragraph 1, develop cooperation skills. Paragraph 2, develop organization skills. And paragraph 3, increase chances of receiving academic rewards. They've done all those things for an introduction. So that's good. Let's move on to look at the body for this essay. So here's an example of the first body paragraph from this essay. This scored a perfect on the literacy test. Remember, your classroom teachers will have higher expectations for writing assignments. But they start with a topic sentence stating the main idea. Students who take part in book clubs or sports develop skills that allow them to work well with others. Then we get into some either point, expand, explain, or answer proof, explain. Either one. They learn skills that may not be taught at home or in the classroom. For instance, a person who plays volleyball is able to negotiate, cooperate, compromise, share, and socialize. Lots of nice specific details in there. More confidently than one who is not used to stepping outside their comfort zone. Okay, you might notice that one did point or expand and explain in the same sentence. That's fine. In fact, that's probably better if you can. Then another small point, expand, explain. Extracurricular activities provide a way for young teens to get to know each other and improve their socializing, to ultimately enhance their secondary school experience. That's their first body paragraph of their essay. They have all 3 of those parts at least twice. Most importantly, they're filling their space with lots of nice specific details and explaining how they support their main ideas. Once you've written your 3 body paragraphs, you want to have a conclusion. It doesn't need to be quite as big as this one. It doesn't need to be a whole nice big paragraph. In fact, I'm going to advise you on the literacy test, your introduction and your conclusion should not be longer than your body paragraphs. Make sure your body paragraphs are the star of the show, okay? Because that's really what they're looking for, is the ideas in your body paragraphs. But your conclusion should restate your opinion or your thesis. This one sort of, it doesn't do it as well as I'd like, but it does it well enough down here. Needs to restate your ideas, which it does very nicely right at the beginning, and it ends in sort of a thoughtful way. Now again, the way that your teachers might have taught you how to do a conclusion for an essay, they're not as stringent with those rules here, okay? The expectations are lower. So, it's nice if your thesis is the first sentence of your concluding paragraph. It doesn't have to be, and you can still score perfect on the literacy test. Your assignments in class, though, you'll have to do it the way that your teacher instructs you to. So this is what your essay should look like on the 2 pages. People get really worried about essays. If you can write a paragraph, you can write an essay. And if you can have a thought and give me some examples and explanation, then you can write a paragraph. And so just that answer, proof, explain, point, expand, explain, whatever it is. Just don't think of an essay as being an essay. Just think of it as a group of paragraphs. Start with the introduction. Nice meaty body paragraphs. Notice the second paragraph actually goes on to the second page because that's halfway through the essay. 3 paragraphs and a conclusion. Restates the ideas. Don't be intimidated by the essay. That being said, the essay's only 10 marks on here. Sometimes people spend too much time on the essay and they miss stuff near the end of booklet 2. Okay? Most important thing is to answer all the questions on the literacy test. I'd rather you answer all the questions and only write half of an essay than to write a perfect essay and miss the last reading or 2 readings, because you're going to lose more points that way. So do a good job on the essay, but watch the time too. If you're worried that you're going to spend too much time on the essay, do it last. Do all the other readings and multiple choice first, because if you only do half of a good essay, you're still going to get some good marks there. So let's check in on our learning goals. We reviewed some strategies for generating ideas, like the T-chart, like organizing your ideas, like using perms, using answer, proof, explain, or point, expand with examples, explain to build up the ideas. And we reviewed essay structure. Remember, the expectations here are lower than what your classroom teacher will give you for assignments. Okay, so like I said, if you can write a paragraph, you can write an essay, and if you've got ideas, you can write a paragraph. So, if you think you've heard all my corny jokes, just remember, you can pun, but you can't hide. If you'd like to rewatch this video or any of the other videos, you can. They're available for free on YouTube. www.youtube.com/user/UCC literacy. Alright, thank you and good luck on Thursday.